Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev. And in this video, what I want to do is talk more about task running. So in the first video on this subject, we talked about task running using one of three different approaches. Using the built-in task runner in Node, where you use like npm run and you run one of these scripts in the package.json. Okay, you could also use a makefile, which you can use with any language. Okay, or you could use a bash script, okay, and you can write if statements, which essentially is the same thing as using a makefile, just a lot less. A makefile is a lot less work than writing all these if statements. Okay, or you can even write functions that do the things that you want it to do, and you can just create a whole bunch of functions for all the different tasks that you want to create. These are all options. Okay. A couple other options depending on which JavaScript runtime you're using. You could use bun. Bun can actually run your package.json scripts. Okay, so what I could do is I could do bun run. Let's take a look at our package.json. Bun run both. So if you, this is assuming you have bun installed, run both. Okay, and see, it does it, and it did it a bit faster. Okay, so yeah, let me do that again so you can see how fast it works. Okay, see, that was pretty quick. Now if I do npm run both, okay, see there was like a little bit of a delay there up front. Okay, so you could use bun. Okay, that's sort of the big deal with bun, is like you can get the benefit of using everything you're used to using with Node, but a lot faster. Okay, now Deno has its own task runner, which requires you to create a separate file. I actually was unaware of this in the first video, because for the longest time Deno did not have a built-in task runner. Okay, but basically all you'd have to do is you create a Deno.json file, and then you can actually use this to actually set up all your imports and all that stuff, which before, people would create like a deps.ts file in their TypeScript programs. But yeah, now you can sit there and you can create a key called tasks, okay, which is another object, and then we can create a task called, run one. Okay, and you can use whatever command you want. Again, it's just like the other task runners, where they're just bash commands. So, I could run it with Deno, so I could be like Deno run 1.js. Okay. And then we can do run 2, Deno run 2.js, and run both. Okay. Deno run 1.js and Deno run 2.js. Okay, so those are my tasks. Okay, and I'll just save that. So that way it makes it nice and pretty. Okay, and then we'll try that out. So here it's gonna be Deno task. Then you put the name of the task, so Deno task run 1, and it works. Then I do run 2, and it works. And again, whenever you use these task runners, it doesn't have to be that, like, you don't have to use npm commands or node commands. Like, I could do this. I could say, hey, instead I want node to run 1.js. So if I do back to Deno task run.js, the Deno task is going to run the task based on what's inside the Deno.json, but it's going to run whatever command I put in there. Okay, except in this case, it said module not found. Did I put the wrong file name? Running run. Oh, because it's not node run, it's npm run. Actually, we're reading just node 1.js. My bad. Should be like that. Cool. So let me try that again. And see, that works. Okay. So, point is, you can mix and match these. So if you have Deno bun and package npm or node bun and Deno installed, you can use them for task running. Okay, bun and npm will both leverage a package.json for task running. Deno will leverage a Deno.json. Okay, so that's pretty neat. Okay, particularly if you're using JavaScript. If you're not using JavaScript, then makefile is probably going to be sort of the all-round option. Okay, another thing you could do, so let's say for some reason you just don't want to use, well, you still have to use a JavaScript runtime, but let's say you just didn't want to have, you could build your own from scratch theoretically. Like it's basically what we did with here, but you could do it with like JavaScript, just to kind of show you if I wanted to create like a JavaScript task runner by writing JavaScript, Okay, I could create like a JavaScript file called TaskRunner.js. Okay, and then again, depending on which one am I using, if I'm using like Node, Bun, or Deno, I can then create what I want to create. So for like if it's Node, okay, what I'm going to want to do is do actually, yeah, fine. Const require child process. We'll just say CP. I did that wrong. Const CP equals require child process. Okay, and child process allows you to kind of run commands. Basically, what you do is you're spinning up another thread to run a command for you. Okay, and then what I can do is I can just say const args, okay, equals process. Let me think about how I want to do that. Actually, let's do it this way. We want to use destructuring. I want to skip the first two because the first two are usually nothing particularly important. And then make the remaining args that. Okay, so that would be process.argv, which stands for arg vector. So this is like a list of all the command line args, but technically the command line args don't really start till the third item in the array, which is why I am using this to kind of take all those items and put them in this args array. And we'll console log that so you can see what that is. Okay. And we could just say something like, okay, if args0, the first item in there, is, you know, oh no, I think I wanted to do switch. Switch. Okay, so in the case where it is run 1, we'll do one thing, and that'd be like cp dot. Okay, based on that answer, I think I got the wrong library name. So let me just see here. Node child process. Oh, it's underscore. That's why. So child process. Let's try that out. cp dot. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and basically you have these commands like exec sync, and what they do is they'll execute a command. Okay, essentially bash commands. The difference is that exec is asynchronous, exec sync is synchronous, so it'll stop everything while it does its thing. So it just depends on sort of your purpose. So I'm gonna do exec sync because that's fine. Okay, and then we just pass in the string. So this case we wanted to run node. Okay, we'll just say actually we'll do bun run 1.js. Okay, break, and then again I can just set it up this way. So you can create your own custom task runner theoretically. Okay. And then, if you want to get real advanced, you could have it, figure out what the tasks are relative to another file. So, it might go read some JSON file and then do stuff from there, like if you want to get fancy. But then again, it's like, why are you doing that when the wheel is already invented with the existing task runners? Okay. But again, now I can do like run 2. And then we'll do run both. Okay. And then we'll do the second one with Deno, just to kind of, again, show the point that you can, whatever you have installed, you can use. So Deno run 2.js. Okay. And then, of course, there's going to be a default, and which will just say console.log, don't recognize command. Break. Oops. That should go in there. Break. Okay, cool. So basically the way I would run this command is I would just sit there and say, okay, node TaskRunner.js, because I got to run it with some node JavaScript runtime. But then my arguments would be after this. So then I'd be like node TaskRunner.js run both. Okay. And where you see it, like what it did is it logged. And that's the one other thing to consider. Like it won't show you the output. The output gets returned. So basically what I think I want to do is do const. Let's do it this way. Let output, and then we'll just do like a const output equals, and I'm going to add that. I'm pretty sure this is how this is going to work. We'll find out in a moment. And actually, I don't need the const there. I already declared it. And then at the end, we'll console log the output. Okay, and see what I get is the buffer, so that's a string. So then I'm going to need to read as text, with dot text to string. Okay, and then let's decode that. And there we go, so we get the output. Okay, so you could do that. Again, you could, do this process where, again, I could run commands arbitrarily inside other threads using Node. And then, I have to then grab their output and then console log them manually because, again, they're technically logging in a separate thread. So that's why you're not going to see it in the terminal naturally. But you can do that. That's an option. That's a thing you can do if you care to. This is probably, you would only want to do this if you're creating your own custom CLI for like a framework or something like that. Like that's when I've used this. If you're creating like a custom tooling. But it's an option of a thing you can do when it comes to running tasks. And again, you're going to have options like this in every language. So you could always create your own custom task runner or your own custom CLI tools. But honestly, like for just your individual project, if you're using JavaScript, using the built-in task runner to the runtime that you're working with, or using Makefile, it's gonna have you pretty well covered. So yeah, hopefully you guys found this enjoyable.